It's been a little bumpy around here. The season changing with rain and work just having a bit of a downturn, but it's okay. It's okay. We're in class. How was the last class? So far, we've done about 15 lessons, starting with the introduction, the vowel, the tones, and come to think of it, we actually the second quarter is ending. I remember after every second quarter we have like a revision class, which I think we did after the first quarter. Then I took a bit of break or a bit of delayed class. This is the third week in June, and then we'll have the fourth week and fully sometime on the 30th of June. I'm hoping I'll be able to do the revision for the second quarter and maybe take another break the first week of July, and then we'll start class again second week. But everything is that's how I plan it, but we'll see how things could turn. I'm actually trying to work on something where there can be a real conversation with me and a Chinese that will be recorded. It could have something to do with the class. We could just pick up on a topic and then we could talk and make it look real, more like a conversation. I speak, you reply, I speak, you reply, so that it can feel more real than just what it looks like right now. But let's see how it goes. I'm trying to work on something, but because of the restriction of the people I work with, they can be on the video, and I don't know if there's a way we could cover their faces or make them wear mask. That is a face mask, and so it's just the voice that you hear. But I don't know. Let's see how we work on something, and then we also move that into maybe from there we also move to some kind of conversation that is probably not just in the book, just to give a natural feel of. So I'm working towards that. I'm just hoping that I get one of them to agree with me and then we can do something like that, but I need to take permission from them before I do. But today's class is going to be our lesson 7. Like we've seen, we are moving into deeper conversation because we've dealt with the basics, which are the tones, the initials, the finals, and see how those four tones and the way the pronunciation works. Like I said, there's no magic I can play. I'm just doing exactly what my teachers did while I was in China. Nothing different. The only difference is that I'm doing mine virtually, but this was it. We start with the finals, we start with the initials, we start with the tones, and then we are taught the pronunciations. And once we get that, we move into conversations. Now, there are different type of classes from maybe what I'm doing. We had a grammar class, which is what I'm doing, and this is like the foundation now. From every class we did, we then went into listening, where maybe an audio is played, we listen to the audio and questions are asked, and then we try with our writings to see if we can answer writing, and then it is marked. And we grew. That probably made it a bit faster. I might not be able to do that here because I have virtual students whom I don't see except for the comments they put in the comment section. So I might not be able to do that. But if we are really willing to learn this language, no matter how small it is, thank God the internet never disappears. It's still there, except if a new generation of some things come up again. You can always go back and practice and practice and practice, and until we can get, to the place where we are super, conversant with it. But for now, let's just continue with our conversation. This should be lesson, I'm thinking it should be lesson 16 today. So, lesson 16 in my own class, but we're going to be dealing with lesson 7 in the textbook. And lesson 7 is Ni Chi Shema. Remember in the last class, I told us Shema means what? Zama means how. Shema means what? Jega, nega, we talked about it. Jega means this. Nega means that. Uh, who means shui or shui. Which is also the same thing as naga, na. The same thing as na. Uh, the same tone with the other one, but a bit of different spellings, just a little bit of change or different. So we'll see that. So now we're talking about what would you eat? That's the interpretation of Nichi Shema. Ni by now you should know is you. Chi means to eat. Shema, I told us, is what. So it's what would you eat? So this conversation is between Michael. In the last time I told you, even when I was in China, my name is Precious, but they can't get Precious in Chinese characters. Also, they had to look for characters that could be similar in pronunciation to Precious. So I was called Puresi in school because they could get Pu, they could get Ray, and they could get S. Didn't really mean anything putting them together, but individually it meant different language, different things. So for Michael in Chinese, they don't call them Michael, they call them Michael. This one is general. You go to China, if you call Michael Michael, they know who you're talking about. Like it's not it's those kind of words. Precious might be difficult. Different people will give it different meaning, but Michael is Michael. Just like Mary is Mali. It's not because of the book. That is just it. Mary is Mali. They want to change their names. If you want to change somebody who's very Mary, you call him Mali. If you want to change, those are common names that are popular. So this is between Michael and Mary, but we're going to stick to the names Michael and Mali. So they're in a classroom, of course, as you can see, and there can be conversation in the classroom, and then you go to the restaurant after break or something like that. So let's stick to the conversation. So Michael is asking, 中午你去哪儿吃饭? Which is like what we usually discuss when we are in school. Like during break, where are you going to? During break, where would you go eat? What would you eat during the break? Normal conversation. So, 中午你去哪儿吃饭? Which means at noon, where would you go to have lunch or midday food or something like that, whatever it's called. And Mali said, "What you Shitan? Shitan is like the canteen, the school canteen, you know." So that's the first question in the class. So it's like in the morning in the class, I'm asking, so John Wunichu na Chifan, and somebody will reply, say, "What you Shitan?" And so now they've gone to the dining hall, and Michael is asking Mali, "Ni chi shema? What would you eat? Ni chi shema?" And Mali is replying, 我吃馒头. Mantou is dumpling. I'm sure for those of us that watched the ancient Chinese movies, they may not be so popular now. But the ancient Chinese movie where you see the long beard, the Shaolin master, and the temple, you see this white thing they eat. Those are dumplings. They have different type. They have baozi. It's a type of dumpling, stuffed with meat or vegetables. They have mantou. Mantou is pure flour. There's nothing stuffed inside. It's pure flour. You could call it their type of bread. They have jiaozi. Jiaozi is also a type of dumpling, but stuffed with meat or vegetables. So, but this is mantou, meaning it's just stuffed bread. Then Micah is replying, "Ni yao ji ga." If you're going to eat mantou, it's in piece, one like bread, So he's saying, you'll be taking how many? How many do you want? 你要几个? 你要几个? And Mali is replying, 一个, meaning one. And then when he's done replying, I'll say, 你吃什么? What would you eat? And, oh, sorry, not what would you say? 你吃吗? I want one. Would you eat? He said, 不吃, meaning 不吃. I'm not eating mantou. Let's get the context of the conversation. Mali says, I want mantou. And he's like saying, how many mantou would you eat? And he's saying, one. Would you eat? That's would you eat? Because I'm taking one. Would you eat also? And he's like, no, I'm not eating. I'll eat rice. Then he asked another question. 你喝什么? So let me say, 一个, 你吃吗? Remember I told us about this ma character, this ma here. Let me use my mouse. This particular ma here. I told us before that once you put that in a sentence, it makes it a question. If you say something like 你吃, it's like, are you eating? It could be a sentence of, are you eating something right now? But when you say 你吃吗, it means, are you eating? It's a question you need to answer. Would you eat? The context of what we are discussing about, if it is Meifa, if it is whatever it is. So Michael said, Wabuchi. He didn't put war, but I'm just saying 不吃. I already told us before that there are some responses in Chinese language that don't carry the long sentence, just a short sentence, short form. The person you're communicating with knows. So he didn't put war, just said 不吃，我吃米饭，你喝什么？你喝什么？喝 here means drink. What would you drink? 你喝什么? Now Mali is replying, 我要一碗鸡蛋汤。你喝吗? You can see he's still asking the same question. I want a bowl of egg soup. I want a bowl of egg soup. You know, Chinese meal usually, if you've been to a Chinese restaurant or you've been to China, no matter what they eat, be it rice, mantou, different delicacies, there's always a pot they put there that sometimes if you're not used to the custom, you'll be wondering what is this? Because when you see inside, in some cases it could just be, like when we cook meat, for example, the stock. Then imagine you diluting the stock a bit so that it's not so salty or not so tasty, but it still have that salt taste. And then you bring it, and when you finish eating, you fetch that stock and you drink it. They drink that more than drinking water after eating because one is warm, and secondly, you know what doctors will say, don't drink cold water when you're eating and all that. So one is warm, two, it has some of the food ingredients inside, the vitamins, everything. So in this case, it's egg. So what it means that soup, why boiling it? Why boiling water and adding all the manner of whether salt, a bit of Maggi or whatever, they break egg inside and then they'll mix it. So you will see those egg whites and scattered inside, but it's soup. So she says she wants a bowl of egg soup. So don't think it's like they boil the egg, then they cut it, and no, no, no. While it's raw, just like when you're boiling your egg, and let's say your egg gets broken inside your water, all those egg whites will start coming, and you see those lines of egg white. They actually break it inside and stir it, and with all they add salt and a bit of other spice, and it's just soup. Now they don't eat it with rice, but when they're finished eating, when a Chinese man takes that after food, he's most likely not going to eat anything again. So it's like that is like the water he drinks. Usually when they serve meal, they can serve meal with juice. They can sometimes serve meal with wine as well as beer, but they hardly serve meal with water except you request for water. The soup is assumed to be the water. And when you drink that, for foreigners, when we finish, we'll still say, please, can I have water? Because we are used to the water thing. But hardly would you see maybe a Chinese, except when the Chinese is walking on the road or fast food. In some cases, they may put water, or you see them with bottle of Coke or something like that, trying to drink something. But largely, when they are eating, water is not something you put there. But that pot of soup is always there, and there are different types. Sometimes it can be chicken. You just see chicken soup inside. But the chicken, they may not eat the chicken meat itself. They are just more concerned about the like I said, when you cook meat, you could put chicken and then the stock of the chicken, but in a much more diluted state will be, and then you drink it. So it's still part of the meal. They consider it as part of the meal, but they consider it to be good enough for digestion and other things. So I just wanted to explain that. So she wants a bowl of soup, egg soup, and he's asking her, 你喝吗? And he's saying, no, 我不喝. 我喝啤酒. Pijo means beer. Pijo means beer. And then Mali is saying, 这些是什么? What he's trying to say, these things, meaning on the table they added other things. 这些是什么? These things, what are these? What are these other things? Because I know I'm eating mantou. You are eating rice. And I'm drinking a bowl of egg soup, and you're taking beer. But there are other meals on the table. So what are these? And he's saying, 这是饺子. I already told you it's a different type of dumpling stuffed with vegetable or beef or chicken or whatever meat. 这是包子. I also told you it's a type of dumpling stuffed with stuff. And 这是面条. 面条 is noodles, the one we call Indomie or noodles. So 面条 is noodles. 包子 is dumpling, a different type of dumpling stuffed with meat. Same with jiaozi, but in a smaller, they are smaller than mantou. Mantou is just bread, not stuffed with anything, but it is white. So I'll repeat the conversation again and then we'll do new words and just to keep us. So this is conversation of Nichushama. What are you eating? So it's a mealtime table-like kind of thing. So you can see, let's look at this. You can see the plate of Chinese rice in front of Michael, and you can see these two things here, dumpling. So it dished a lot of things. This little ones here could be jiaozi, and then this one on the somewhat black stuff is baozi. That's usually how they dish it. And then me and Tiara will be in the bowl, and probably he fetched his rice from here, and some other things on the table. So those are the things he explained. So let's just go about the conversation again. Michael, 中午你去哪儿吃饭？玛丽，我去食堂。Now they've gotten to the dining or 你吃什么? What are you eating? Take a guest house. You're like, oh, 你吃什么? And they say, 我吃馒头。你要几个? How many mantou do you need? You're going to make orders. So let's know how many orders we're going to make. 我要一个。你吃吗? I need one. Are you eating? No, 不吃。我吃米饭 I'm eating rice. 你喝什么? 我要一碗鸡蛋汤. You know, it's like saying I need a piece of bread. The piece there is like I've forgotten the English word they use in explaining. It's like saying when you want to say is it a collective word they call it sometimes? Like if you want to say a pack of wolves, you know, something like that, a piece of bread, a bottle of Coke, and stuff like that. So in Chinese, if you want to talk about soup, you use yi wan, means a bowl. You know, the one there has to talk of the bowl. I can say eg instead of saying eg dan tang. What I want is one bowl of whatever. So the word you use to describe it is the bowl. So that one then. So yi wan ji dan tang. 你喝吗? He said 不喝。我喝啤酒. Pijo is beer. And he said 这些是什么? 这是枣子。这是包子。那是面条. So remember I told you about 这个那个. So 这些是什么? Michael responded and said that's the 这个. This is 饺子. This is 包子. That is 那是面条. So you can see this, probably they are close to him. And when he pointed far, that. So that is J and na. So you can use that in your conversation. You see a Chinese, after your ni hao, we already did about chu nar. Where are you going to? You can always say ni chu nar. And it's like, oh, what chu bangun shi. Bangun shi means office. Or what chu shui shao school. Or what chu shao shi supermarket. Or what chu shita. Whatever it's going to. And then when you're done, if it's a friend, you go to a Chinese restaurant and you're like, ni chi shama. So you have a Chinese friend, male or female. Oh, what chi mian chao. Then you get noodles for him. Oh, you can say Nina or Nichima. Say no, Buchi or Chin Mi Fan He Chao Chao Tai. Mi Fan and fried vegetables, you know, because Chinese eat vegetables, different types. Now, not like we cook our vegetables, they fry most of their vegetables, fry carrots, fry cucumber, fry cabbage. They keep it. In fact, you enjoy their food when it's hot. If it's cold, you may try to eat if you love cold food, but you might not get the flavor and the taste unlike when it is hot. So let's do some new words here. Zhongwu here means midday, which is noon. Our 12 noon is Zhongwu. And usually the Chinese go for they eat breakfast between the hours of 7:30 or let's say between the hours of 7 to 8. Could be any of those times. Then they eat their lunch by 12. And then they eat dinner by say between 5:30 to 6 up to 6:30 thereabouts, and they're quite fast when eating. They don't have time to sleep on the table. So Zhongwu is lunchtime. If you work in a Chinese company or you're even going to the embassy, please don't go by 12, except you have an appointment by 12, which of course they will hardly give you. But if they do, well, you can go. But if you go by 12, between the hours of 12 to 2, you might not be lucky to meet anybody. So Zhongwu is noon. Ch is to eat. Fan means meal. Any kind of meal is called fan, means meal. Chitan means dining hall, canteen. Mantou is a steam bun. We call it bread, but it's made, they don't bake it, they steam it. Steam bun, mantou, steam bun. Then you have mi fan. Mi fan is still steamed rice, which is our normal white rice, boiled rice. But you know, their rice, well, they they boil it like we boil it, though they use a rice cooker most times. Then mi means rice. So when you put mi fan, no, there are different type of um uh, there are different type of rice. We call fried rice, jollof rice, and the rest. Funny enough, if you're eating fried rice in China, it's called chow mei fan. So I think mei fan is just rice. I don't know why they added the steam to it, but maybe it kind of gives it the white rice to make it know that it's white rice I'm looking for. So they had to use mei fan, because if you're going to eat jollof rice or fried rice, you have to put chow in front of it, which shows that there's a frying, there's a mixing. Chow mein fan for fried rice, as well as sometimes for jollof rice. But if you just say mi fan, it means it's white rice. Then mi also can be called rice. For example, especially rice when it's not cooked. For example, the rice bottle still mi, so you have to know the difference. Though if you're in a restaurant and they say, "What are you eating?" I say, "You're eating mi." They can try to understand what you're saying. If you're a foreigner, they know it's going to be rice. But when you say mi fan, they get you white rice. If you say chow mi fan, they get you fried rice. If you say mi in the market, they understand you want to buy rice, because you won't say you want to buy mi fan. If you say you want to buy mi fan, it means you want to buy cooked rice. So you must be around maybe a buka around the market. So know the difference. When you put mi fan, it means it's cooked and it's white. When you say mi, just mi, it could be rice bottle, it could be rice you want to buy in the market, raw, not yet cooked. Yao means to want, to desire. Ge, I told us ge is a classification, doesn't really mean anything. If I say iga, lianga, sanga, it just means one, two, three. But it's like it classifies what you want. Like I said, iwan, a bowl of soup. You know, instead of saying a soup, you know, or one soup. I'll say a bowl of soup, or give me, I want to take Coke. How many bottles? You be like a bottle of Coke or a glass of Coke or something. You use something to qualify, classify it. So that's what the eager, that's what the girl does. So when I say jigger, nigger, the girl there is a classifier. Then you have one. One means bowl. Then you have jidan. Jidan means egg. G means and cock, chicken. Anything within the chicken family, chicken in particular, not duck. So it could be hen, it could be cock, it could be chick, it could be whatever, but chicken. It could be cooked also as well, doesn't matter. Then dan means egg. Jidan means chicken egg. You understand? So I have to say that dan in itself means egg, because there is yadan, which is duck egg, and then there are different type of dans, you know. But when they say jidan, they are trying to qualify that it's a chicken egg. Then you have tang. Tang means soup. Pijo, beer. Geo is any alcoholic drink. When you use only geo, means any alcohol. It could be spirits with brandy, it could be tequila. The tequila they call it, yes. So geo is any alcoholic drink or spirit. But when you say pijo, it is in particular beer. Then J share means these, the plural form of jigger. The plural form of jigger. J share means these. Share is a classifier. You remember, if you look at the first character, if you had memorized the jigger and nigger, you see that the first character is the J character. But when they put share, it moves it from these to these in English, the way you say this and these, that and those. So the share there is a qualifier that brings more than one thing. In this case, they say some, changes it. So if you say e share, for example, if I don't use jega, or if I use e share, it means some, a few. But it means I'm not talking about one thing. I'm talking of things that are a bit much. Or na share, you can this J share. Na share means those. I just gave an example when I was explaining. Then jiaozi is a type of dumpling. Baozi is also a type of dumpling. And mientiar is noodles. Now I just told you, I said Mali is Mary. Remember in the first class we already did Micah, so that's why they didn't write Micah. The new word here is Mali. We've done Micah before. So, students, I would like to tell us to please learn these new words, learn the conversation, and let's see how we can work together. And I'm waiting for those questions. But one thing is sure, continuous practicing of these things. And particularly if we are within the Chinese environment, peradventure you're working with a Chinese, or you're close to a Chinese, or you have Chinese friends, it will be a good way to practice for every class. That was how we learned when I was in class. Once I'm done with anything in class, for example, this one has to do with meals, right? Okay, so we'll go to the restaurant, or we have a Chinese friend, or even within ourselves that we're foreigners learning the Chinese, and we just practice it. We'll make mistakes, we'll go back to our books and revise, and we are good for it today. So let's do well to revise and learn these new words. That is how we increase our words capacity. That's how we get used to knowing the words, understanding the grammar, and knowing how to mix the words. I'll be here for any question, but until the next class, where we'll probably dig deep into 7. Like I said, the words they are increasing. So in the next class, we'll probably touch on this revision and then show a bit more, because as we go deeper and deeper, we get to know. So there'll be a bit of revision next week, and then we'll practice some of these new words, see how we can write, and then we'll see what happens in the next class. For now, let's just learn the new words and learn the conversation that is getting longer. And till then, we'll see you next class. This is Auntie Precious, Auntie P. See you in the next class. Thank you.